We live on the continent of Elios, 4 realms surrounding a holy land at its center. Firene, Kingdom of Abundance. Brodia, Kingdom of Might. Elusia, Kingdom of Knowledge. Solm, Queendom of Freedom. The land of Lithos, home of divine dragons. And Gradlon, domain of the fell dragon, fallen to ruin. 1,000 years ago, our lands endured a vicious war with the fell dragon. We called upon heroes from other worlds to aid us, heroes known as emblems. With them, the warriors of our nations fought as one. In the end, we were victorious in defeating and imprisoning the fell dragon. In the years since, our world has been safe. But now, I sense a resurrection. The binding weakens. If his shadow stretches across the land again, then we must fight him anew, as we did in ages past. Fell Dragon, Sombron, must be stopped. Here we are. We are safe within these walls.
So this is Lithos Castle. It's beautiful.
I'm glad you think so. Though you may not remember this place, I've long waited to welcome you back here. Welcome home.
I'm home?
Yes, you are. I feel overwhelmed with joy. I may cry.
Queen Lumera.
Vander. Clanne. Framme. Thank you for all you've done. You are worthy stewards indeed. You and your predecessors, watching over my child all these years. I am ever so grateful.
You are too kind.
Yeah, it's awful nice of you to say that. I'm starting to feel woozy.
Oh yeah, go us! We just got praised by Queen Lumera herself!
The happiness of this moment aside, I am troubled to see the corrupted here in Lithos.
The corrupted?
Those enemies you were fighting out on the grasslands.
Oh, I didn't like those things one bit. Just the sight of them made my blood run cold.
Understandably so. The corrupted are corpses revived by an evil power. The Fell Dragon used them as his soldiers in the war. Before the start of that bitter conflict, Elios had known peace for eons. But then, a dark presence emerged. Sombron. Despite tireless searching, we could not determine where he'd come from. But seeing the destruction he wrought, there was no doubt of his evil intentions. Now the corrupted are spreading once more. This may be a sign of his return.
No.
I wonder if it is mere coincidence that you awakened as all this unfolds. If the Fell Dragon has been released, then we must prepare for battle.
I can't imagine fighting someone like that.
Worry not. I doubt he will attack anytime soon. This castle is filled with the spirits of divine dragons. The corrupted cannot enter it easily. Let us devise a plan now, while we have the opportunity. Emblem Marth.
It's been quite some time, Lumera.
That it has. Thank you for lending your aid against the corrupted.
You're welcome. But of course, I could help only because your child remembered me. You know, it is possible the others are awake now, just as I am.
Perhaps you are right.
Sorry, but what do you mean? Who's awake?
There is something I should show you. Follow me.
What is this place?
This is the Ring Vault. It is where the emblem rings are enshrined. Those of the Holy Knight, of the Sage Lord, and of the Azure Twins rest here, as well as the ring of the Princess Exalt. And finally, the Ring of the Instructor. Each dwells within an emblem ring, as Marth resides in the Ring of the Hero King.
So, counting Marth, there are 6 emblem rings. Wow.
In fact, there are 12. 6 here, and 6 entrusted to the other countries, as a precautionary measure.
What do you mean?
The emblems grant world-altering power to whoever has all 12 rings. For generations, the Divine Dragons used this power to ensure peace and prosperity in Elyos. Indeed, that was how we locked away the Fell Dragon. But many have sought to steal the rings, and use them for their own nefarious purposes.
Which is why they're scattered all over the continent, not just stored here.
Precisely. The rings offer their power but once every 1,000 years, at which time the Divine Dragon travels across Elyos to collect them from each nation's ruler. With 1,000 years having passed since last time, I was planning to carry out this ritual soon. But if the Fell Dragon is after the rings, the emblems may be summoned before I arrive.
Summoned?
It is how one calls for an emblem from a ring, just as you did earlier with Marth. Only those with royal dragon blood are capable of summoning. That includes you, my child.
Oh, you must be talking about the phrase that popped into my head.
An invocation, you mean? What was it?
Shine on, emblem of beginnings. I wasn't even thinking about it. The words just fell from my mouth.
That was how you summoned Marth.
This hits different on repeat viewing.
What was your focus? Your intention when you spoke those words?
I wanted to help Clanne and Framme. I didn't want to lose them. I wanted to protect them.
Your focus was on helping others. Remember that intention whenever you summon emblems, not to keep the power for yourself. Understand? To borrow so you may protect others.
I understand.
Now, why don't we try a practice battle? You must be a little rusty after all these years. How about we train here? You will be the one fighting. The emblem lends you their strength. You need to train your body and mind to unleash an emblem's full power. Vander, Clanne, Framme, you will be aiding my child in this battle. Against me.
Queen Lumera, even in a practice battle, I could not turn my weapon on you.
Oh, Vander, please do put your heart into it. I know I will.
The corrupted!
No, dear. Not at all. How could you think so? I made these opponents from plants and rocks. Nevertheless, their abilities are the same. Drop your guard and you could be hurt.
They're really unsettling. Can we train with something else? They give me the chills.
Listen, you must push through your fear and face whatever opponent stands against you. Never run away. You are my child, the protector of all. The Divine Dragon.
I understand.
Don't worry, Divine One. We'll back you up every step of the way.
Yeah! What Framme said.
As loath as I am to battle against Queen Lumera, orders are orders. I pledge to bring us victory.
Thank you, everyone.
Now, let's begin.
Over time, Alear doesn't react quite as strongly to the phantoms, and I think that's neat. Courage isn't never feeling fear, it's overcoming it. Engage really sells Alear's courage as the product of effort, not just recklessness.
Be cautious, Divine One. Some of these enemies are carrying long-range weapons. Therefore, they can rain arrows upon us from afar.
Because Lumera's on our side, permadeath is disabled for this math. No one can die for real. We also get 2 new team members, Clanne and Framme, the long-awaited return of a Christmas duo. Clanne is your first mage in Engage. He's fast and accurate, which makes him easy and fun to use early game. His personal ability makes Alear and him even more accurate. It feels great to see 100 hit, and Clanne's our best way to accomplish that for now. Funnily enough, he has the growth of the physical unit, not a mage. Clanne's magic damage output is pretty underwhelming as the game progresses. He can reliably set up kills without being countered, but getting to the point where he's one-rounding foes takes a lot of work. That's not to say he can't use magic well. In Engage, magic combat is much better than physical combat, due to the abundance of physical tanks relative to magical tanks, and the evergreen power of unrestricted 1-2 range. He's going to struggle to hit the raw magic necessary for one-rounding bulky units, but against a lot of enemies, the speed threshold is the bigger problem, and he's great at hitting those. He doesn't need to compete with Citrine or Ivy for Lyn, and he can take one of several emblems to boost magic instead. If you shower him with resources, some combination of a Spirit Dust or two, a few SP books, Star Sphere, and Crom's DLC bracelet, you can definitely get him to the point where he's one of your best units. All in all, he ends up better than you'd think for someone with a 10% magic growth. Clanne is also totally viable as a physical unit. There are two ways to do this, the good way and the fun way. The good way is to just second seal him once he promotes and get him into a physical class. If you don't like leveling up with bad class growth in Mage, the fun way is to go all in on maximizing stats. You avoid training him until you get a second seal after Chapter 8, reclass him into a physical-based class like Axe Fighter, and then rush 10 levels with Micaiah. If you actually do the math, the difference is less than 2 points of strength and negligible elsewhere. The opportunity cost is tremendous. You're really in a pickle playing through the early game without Clanne, and then after Chapter 8 you have to move heaven and earth to rush as many levels as possible with Micaiah to get him up to speed. With the DLC, it's not so bad. He's a reasonable candidate for using Tiki and Star Sphere, which will actually make delaying his levels pay off, and you have more time. Either way, it's something I'd recommend only if you like training projects or you want to mix up the early game. I said in Part 0 that I think you can basically follow a single blueprint all the way through Chapter 8. If you don't want Clanne to get experience, you have to throw that blueprint out the window, which can be fun. Regardless of how he gets into a physical class, his damage is middling, but it's not any worse than Magic Clanne would have it. When you're using a forged bow or killer weapon, you don't need a ton of strength. His high dex works for critical hits as well as accuracy. For classes, you can't go wrong with Wyvern, but I think Warrior makes the most sense. He's a good bow user because of his accuracy, and he'll have high crit rates. He's not going to be a tank, so having great 1-2 range or a mount isn't as important. It's tough that there aren't a lot of great emblem options for boosting physical damage though. He's a natural fit for Erica later, becoming similar to Alchrist, but most emblems that give strength are enemy phase oriented. Sometimes people get a little out over their skis about offbeat Clanne builds. I'll be clear that, in my view, Magical Clanne is significantly better than Physical Clanne, and leveling up in Mage is significantly better than leveling up in Axe Fighter. All are viable options, and Clanne's dexterity and speed just make him fun to use, regardless of whether he's technically more valuable in one setup or another. Clanne's gameplay matches his character. He's pleasant to have around, and he's certainly not incompetent, but he's probably not going to be your strongest fighter. Framme is your first healer in Engage and the first Chi Adept in the series. Chi Adepts can, while at full HP, use their turn to Chain Guard. On enemy phase, the first hit that would damage an adjacent ally will instead take 20% of the Chi Adept's HP. This is a cool mechanic that gives your healer something to do when everyone's healthy. Enemy AI doesn't understand chain guards, so they're an easy way to make enemies behave predictably by dangling a fake kill or break opportunity in front of them. If Framme's next to a Leer, as she will be for chain guarding or healing, Crimson Cheer gives both plus 10 avoid. In the early game, 80% hit rates are actually worse than 90% if you're carefully planning, but later on, if you can go from 15% to 5%, that's fantastic. Framme's stats are not great for combat, and her class does not give her any good weapons to do combat with for a long time. As such, it's understandable to just use Framme for staff utility and the occasional chain guard. If she's mainly being deployed to support others, she won't gain enough experience to keep up with new recruits. We're going to get Micaiah soon, after which you actively don't want Framme to heal units. Faced with dragging around a level 3 martial monk into Chapter 8, many runs will promote someone who can use staves and unceremoniously bench Framme. You don't have to accept this eventual obsolescence. It's possible to reclass her into something like Mage Knight or Griffin, and she ends up around where her brother is in those roles. That may honestly be strictly optimal, but I think it's worth focusing on what a Framme that continues into Martial Master can do. We just got the first unit ever in a class line unique to Engage. Making her into maybe the 7th best Mage Knight feels uninspired. Chi Adepts get some weird conditional effects with emblems, with a single really good synergy. That's Lucina's Bonded Shield, for which Chi Adepts get 100% activation rate with anyone. I'll wax poetic about Bonded Shield soon enough, but the short version is that it's like a chain guard that doesn't cost HP. It makes any unit that isn't being doubled or chain attacked invincible to incoming damage. The default 80% activation rate makes this unreliable for tanking damage, and that's why the bonus is so important. That 100% activation rate is only irreplaceable for backup, dragon, mystical, and covert units, Armors, cavalry, and flyers get 100% activation rate within their style. Perfect Bonded Shield is something even Vander could get if you reclass him into Martial Master, but Framme's a great pick for a couple of reasons. Compared to late joiners, she can inherit early skills like Canter and Staff Mastery. She has the mixed offense and speed for Martial Master as you'd expect from the first person to get the class. Her coolest claim to fame is avoid stacking. Lucina's dual support gives huge bonuses to avoid depending on adjacent supports, stacking with the normal support bonuses some characters give. Framme joins early, has a good support list, has a personal for extra avoid, and has fantastic natural speed. If Framme uses Bondage Shield on Alir, Chloe, and Anna, and she has B rank with each, she'll have 70 avoid from all of those effects. You can even inherit avoid plus 20 early and add in a weapon engrave. The Madden AI will just ignore Framme completely, and it doesn't matter how bad her bulk is. A unit like Jean doesn't have the same good supports or Crimson Cheer. This makes Framme an important part of Engage's metagame. There are several good Lucina users for cavalry and flyers, including Framme, but she's by far the most natural choice for Chi Adept Bondage Shield. If you want Sage, Anna, or Berserker Kagetsu to sweep on enemy phase, Framme's the easiest way to make that happen. When she's not bondage shielding, she can use staves like Entrap that many units can't, and she can chain guard. It's a low investment, high reward build that opens up team building. There are certainly easier ways to beat the game, but there aren't always easier ways to accomplish the objectives Framme lets you reach. If you want Framme to take things into her own hands, we'll have to take a more careful look at what her hands would be doing, using arts. Arts are generally brave weapons, meaning when you initiate combat they strike twice where a normal weapon would strike once. They use the average of strength and magic, and they have generally low might. Arts break tomes, daggers, and bows, so you get plenty of opportunities to initiate combat without getting counterattacked. Enter the Flashing Fist art, available after chapter 17, which turns this up to 11. You get plus 5 innate speed, like Mula Gear, and so you'll often hit 4 times. 9 might is fantastic for an art, going up to 14 with forges. The catch is that you take plus 5 damage. You weren't using it on enemy phase anyway, but a unit like Framme can even struggle to attack without getting one shot before finishing the job. It's an A-rank art, so only Martial Masters can use it. It's basically a Framme personal weapon on most runs. The vanilla version of this is not one-rounding much, but when you're quadrupling you get crazy value out of damage modifiers. The Spur Attack Ring adds 8 damage, Divinely Inspiring adds 12 damage, Erica's Lunar Brace Plus adds 120% of enemy defense, Ephraim's Bravery Plus adds 20 damage, and when engaged you get both. If you somehow get Reprisal Plus or Weapon Sync Plus activated, the results are similarly nuclear. A Framme Martial Master using Erica can simply walk up to most enemies and delete them, and that's not easy in Engage. You also can't sleep on the fun factor of seeing steel-clad enemy wyverns punched into a different zip code by a healer girl half their size. Is focusing on Flashing Fist the optimal way to build Framme? For a player phase unit, freedom of movement is important, and Framme lacks that. You can't go deep into enemy lines or she'll melt, you're stuck walking everywhere, and you can only attack at melee range. By the time you get the Flashing Fist art, enemies are promoted, and you'll face a lot of enemies with high movement and ranged weapons who deny Framme large areas of the map. It's a fun build, don't get me wrong, but if you just want to make your team as strong as possible, I'd stick with Lucina on Framme. You can always keep the Flashing Fist art in your inventory, or even inherit Lunar Brace, and pick your battles. Framme's an awesome evolution on the standard early staff user, and I'm glad she can do more than cheerleading. In the early game, she can chain guard to add some variety to her staff utility. Later, with Lucina, she's a team player who can protect your other units from taking damage, heal them up when they do, use high-rank offensive staves when necessary, and break a tough opponent here and there. With Erica, she is the most polarized build in Engage, capable of dealing tremendous damage, but requiring no small amount of positioning and planning to shine.
See this enemy with the axe. Axe wielders are at a disadvantage against swords. Swords are strong against axes, axes against lances, and then lances against swords. If you outmatch your foe, you can break their fighting stance for an advantage in combat. Try it. Strike with your sword. After their stance is broken, they'll be open to further attack.
We can now break enemies. When you initiate combat and strike an enemy at weapon triangle advantage, you disarm the opponent until either your turn ends or another unit attacks them. The game wants you to do this now, but we actually want Alir to take that kill this turn. We'll use Evander, who is bulky, and Clanne, who can attack outside enemy range, to set things up for her.
Divine One, I don't know if you knew this or not, but I can use magic. I'm good from near or far, even against well-protected enemies.
With Clanne's personal skill, we make this finishing blow more consistent.
I'll do my best.
The game puts Allier's engage meter at 1 below max, so a single hit from an Iron Sword refills it. Allier is guaranteed to get HP on fixed growths, and you have more than a 50% chance in random growths, so most of the time, Framme can heal Allier here. She can also heal Vander if he gets hit.
The Divine One looked right at me! You know, I can do some mean healing with my staff. Not only that, I can take incoming hits for nearby allies. But it smarts when I do. Anyway, if you don't want to get hurt, or you need some patching up, just lean on me.
By doing it from the west, the archer only has one square to attack Framme from, and so his movement is consistent. I'm doing a meaningless heal for Framme XP because I want to, and I want these clears to be a good foundation regardless of your plans for her, but you really don't have to. Engage is very thoughtfully designed, and there are significant smoke and mirrors behind the scenes for the early maps to introduce things smoothly. Break was turned off last map, as an example. Here, Lumera doesn't move until turn 2, so you get to focus on dealing with the first 2 enemies. She'll also target Allier instead of sniping Framme or Clanne. How kind of her. Clanne can set up a kill on this archer without any worry. You get more bond rank with an emblem when you kill an enemy or use engage attacks. We want Allier to get high bond ranks with Marth quickly, and she'll get her meter refilled automatically in a second, so we let it rip with Marth's rapier to take the kill.
Cannot afford to lose.
Framme can almost certainly heal one of Vander or Clanne.
It's time I enter the fray. There is no need to hold back, my child.
All right.
Clanne attacks Lumera to set up Lodestar Rush for the kill. I really like Engage's in-chapter dialogue lines, and where possible I'll try to show them.
Queen Lumera, I don't want to attack you. Oh, I feel dizzy.
Sharpen your focus, Clanne, lest you miss.
Framme heals. Note that you have a fair bit of leeway to feed Clanne a few of these kills by just reversing the order. Even if you are going to use Clanne long-term as a mage, Allier is the only person gaining SP and bond rings right now, so unless you're planning for specific benchmarks, I would just give her everything that's convenient. Allier Lodestar rushes, and Phase 2 of the map begins. The way your units are positioned for Phase 2 is strange, and I don't fully understand it despite trying out a bunch of different setups. I think it works by trying to make an upside-down T formation, with Allier above Vander, moving units one by one. Allier won't go on a square that already has someone on it, Vander won't go on a square that would overlap Allier's new placement, or Clanne and Framme, then Clanne, then Framme. It's consistent, so we can at least be happy about that, but my exact placements here do matter.
All right. If everyone is in position, we'll begin. This time, I will be more hands-on. I intend to fight as if in an actual battle. Furthermore, I'll be using this.
Is that the Ring of the Holy Knight?
Indeed it is. I'm inviting an old friend to join us.
I am Sigurd. If you require strength and swiftness, I am all too happy to oblige.
Emblem Sigurd. He looks like a strong opponent.
Each emblem has their own abilities. When allied with them, you can call upon their unique powers and skills.
Whatever Sigurd's power is, it won't be the same as Marth's. We'd better keep our eyes open.
My rapier is effective against cavalry, like those enemies over there. Once we engage, you can use my weapon. Try it against that foe.
Alir would normally be above Vander, but Framme was there. All of your units are healed up now, and Alir's engage meter is emptied. That's how you learn to use these energy tiles that refill it automatically. Like before, we want to use Vander, Clanne, then Alir to give her the kill. The reason I had to figure out how placement works is that if Clanne has Divinely Inspiring, he takes the kill instead. This positioning allows him to be west of Vander without taking the kill. These energy tiles are a big deal, because if you're playing quickly and avoiding counterattacks, it's not easy to refill engage meters through combat. This use will be the first of many. If Vander takes damage, Framme can heal him up here. Clanne's actually in range of the archer, but the archers on this map are hard-coded not to attack him. I think this is to make sure the player understands melee units can't counterattack archers. This is what I mean when I say Engage is thoughtfully designed. I can't think of a single other enemy in the game that has an AI flag to avoid attacking a specific character. We bring the fight to them by having Vander and Clanne team up to get a kill. Would you believe this 92% Vander hit caused a reset? I really wish Vander had a bit more accuracy. They block the lance fighter from being able to run around, giving us more freedom to position our other units. If you move Alir too far up, you'll aggro Lumera. I know she's tied to the two Cavaliers, but I think she might also have an area zone trigger. The AI flags are data mined, at least in Japanese, but I still don't fully understand how it all works. Vander does his thing on enemy phase. We'll fight Lumera starting now, by going in range of the Cavaliers. Vander gets healed so he doesn't die, and goes in the forest, denying that to the enemy. If the lance fighter dodges, Vander should move first and attack, but here Clanne should move first to get the kill.
The strength of the stewards.
Alir equips the rapier to deal effective damage against the other cavalry unit. This map has a jump scare.
Your teamwork is inspiring. Now it's time for us to make our move. Come, Sigurd.
Queen Lumera, please forgive me for standing against you.
Vander, you are my child's knight. You must fill that role as best you can. Attack me with all your might.
In the future, enemy emblem users won't have engage meters. Their abilities won't fluctuate from turn to turn. Lumera engages Sigurd this turn, which means she goes from 6 movement to 12.
That was incredible.
Lord Sigurd is remarkably swift. Perhaps we should be grateful this is a mock battle.
The designers tried to make this more bark than bite. Lumera is coded to attack Vander this turn, as long as she's able to. This isn't perfect because you can place Vander where he can't be attacked and get Clanne or Framme sniped, but it does make the map fairer on a first playthrough. It really is just supposed to scare you. Now Lumera switches to targeting Alir. We can use Framme's chain guard to prevent Alir from being broken by Lumera's lance.
Yes.
This is it! Cannot afford to lose. This is certainly more of a challenge.
Your enemies will not hold back, and neither will I. That is why you must defeat me. What a delight it is to see you in battle after all these years.
Stay back!
The dynamic duo Clanne and Alear can finish things off. Before that, I get Framme an extra heal, because why not? Lodestar Rush continues to look cool. Alear will get a level for her trouble, and she'll unlock Break Defenses. That's good to see.
So sorry. You've won. I'm proud to see you working together so well. Well fought, everyone. You bested Sigurd and me. That's quite the feat. There is much to improve upon, but this is a wonderful start. Great work.
Thank you.
I can't believe we had to fight against Queen Lumera.
Yeah, well, I can't believe we won!
Though you have only just awoken, your power seems to be growing already, Divine One.
I'd like for you to have this.
This is the sword you were using, isn't it?
Yes. An ancient blade that can be wielded only by divine dragons. It served me well for many years, but now it is yours. Consider it a prize for your victory today.
Thank you. Someday I'll prove that I'm worthy of this sword.
I have no doubt. Please, take this as well.
Is this another emblem ring?
No, it is purely ornamental. You see, before your slumber, I made you a promise.
What was it?
I said I'd give you a birthday present that suited you perfectly. I was working on it in private, but I was unable to finish it in time. That birthday has long since passed, but I would quite like to give you this gift now.
I'm sorry. I can't accept.
Why not?
That ring fulfills a promise you made me, right? But I don't remember that promise. It'd feel wrong accepting it. Like I was taking a present meant for someone else. Please offer me this gift again once I've remembered everything.
Everything, you say? Did facing me in battle stir any recollections?
It didn't. I'm sorry.
You need not apologize. It doesn't matter what you can remember right now. I only hope that one day you will think of me as your mother, as you did 1,000 years ago. Forgive me. I was so thrilled to spend time with you again. I suppose I got a little carried away, didn't I?
No, it's all right.
I don't mean to put you on the spot. Perhaps we should call it a day, But let's agree to chat again in the morning. What do you say? Pinky promise?
All right.
Libration is neat, but not that powerful. It refills the engage meter an extra bar if you get a kill, but we have better ways of doing that. You do need to start picking up drops from post-battle exploration starting now. The berries maybe not so much, but the iron ingots are important. That's that for Chapter 2. Next time, the tactics get more interesting and we'll get some new recruits. Until then,